Hello, grades K through 5 will be using the Progress Monitor in Infinite Campus to keep track of student progress this school year. Since student progress will be kept in Infinite Campus, you no longer need to maintain the data tracker that was used last year. This video will show you how to create an assignment and score that assignment in Infinite Campus Progress Monitor. To begin, log in to Infinite Campus and select Progress Monitor at the left. At the top of the page, select the correct term and section. This is set to quarter 1, and we're going to go to math. The units and learning targets for the content area you select will show on the screen. You can see here Math Unit 1 and the learning targets that go with that unit. Before I create an assignment in the Progress Monitor, I want to simplify my screen a bit. I know that I am only working on Unit 1 right now, so I am going to use the filter option to limit my view of just the Unit 1 learning targets. I do this by clicking on the filter button at the top. I then select all the Unit 1 learning targets and click Apply at the bottom. You will see now that just the Unit 1 learning targets are showing. If I want to show all the learning targets again, I would simply go back to the filter and select the blue Clear Standard Filters and click Apply. Go back to Filter, select the Clear Standard Filters and Apply. I prefer to just show the learning targets that I'm currently working with, so I'm going to go back and select the Unit 1 targets. Filter, Unit 1 targets, and Apply. You will know if the learning targets are filtered because a blue dot will show on the filter button if they are. Just like that. Now back to creating an assignment. I want to enter an assignment for quarter 1 and for math. So I have my term set to quarter 1 section and section set to math. Next, I click on the plus sign Add button at the top left of the screen. Here I will enter an assignment name. I want this first assignment to be a record of my students' pretest score for Unit 1. So I'll type Unit 1 pretest here. Enter an abbreviation for the assignment here where it says abbreviation. This will show in the Progress Monitor to help with tracking assignments. So name it something that will help familiarize yourself with which assignment you're entering. I'm going to enter Pre-U1 for Pretest Unit 1 for my abbreviation. The system will default to today's date for assigned and due. If you'd like to indicate another date for these, use the calendar to do so. For most assignments, you will want to just leave the date as populated. The GBSEQ here is for grade book sequence. This is only relevant if you are entering 2 or more scores on the same day. It's important to note that the system is set up to show the progress or final score in the Progress Monitor that is the most recently entered score for the learning target. Because of this, if you enter 2 scores on the same day, the system will not know which score to show as the most recent. and instead it will show a score of NA. To work around this, you will need to enter a sequence to order the assignments, so the system knows which is the most recent. For most assignments, you do not need to worry about sequencing assignments, only if you have 2 or more entered for the same day. Here at category, you're going to just leave this standards-based grading. And here for the include in grade calculation checkbox, leave that checked unless for some reason you did not want to include these scores in your grade calculations. Here under standard, grading, and task, you are going to use the drop down to select all of the learning targets that you want to be tied to this assignment. Maybe the assignment is only tied to one learning target. So you would just select the one learning target and move on. My assignment, however, is for the Unit 1 pretest, and I want to assign all of the Unit 1 learning targets to this assignment. Using the drop-down, I select and add each learning target that I wish to include. So I have, for Unit 1, I have target 1-1, and I'm going to add 1-2, 3, 4, and so on. Once you've selected all the learning targets that go with this assignment, leave the scoring type set to rubric and go to the bottom of the screen and click Save to finalize the process. You can select the score button at the bottom of the screen here to score the assignment immediately, or you can select Close to score the assignment at a later time. For this assignment, let's click Close. You will see that the learning targets tied to the assignment show that there is an unscored assignment tied to them now. If I hover over this little icon, it says there are unscored assignments, and here's a little key of symbols as well. For practice, I'm going to create another assignment and show you the steps again quickly. I'm going to call this second assignment Post-Test Unit 1. Again, I click the plus add button at the top, enter the information, and then save. I'm going to call this one Post-Test Unit 1. For my abbreviation, I'm going to call it POST. You only can do so many characters, so I'm going to do Post Unit 1, PT for Post Unit 1. Since I'm creating 2 assignments on this same day of October 6th, I'm going to have to sequence the second assignment. So I'm going to give this a sequence of 2. Again, it's very rare that we have 2 assignments entered on the same day unless you're going to create a bunch of assignments all in one day. So this is typically not something you need to worry about, but we are creating 2 assignments on October 2nd, and so I'm going to make this our sequence of 2 for our post test. I'm going to leave my category to standards-based grading. I'm going to include my grade calculations, and again, this is my Unit 1 post-test, so I want to tie all my Unit 1 standards or targets, learning targets, to this assignment. Before I, and leave this to rubric, before I close this and save this and close this, notice that I could stay here and click New Assignment. After I click Save, I could click New Assignment and roll into creating a whole another assignment. I could have done that earlier when I was in my pre-test and gone on to Save and New Assignment and created my post-test right after that. You can copy this, make a copy of it. If there's just like, I could have copied my pre-test and just renamed it post-test and changed my sequence to 2, or you could delete this if you needed to. But for this example, I'm going to go ahead and click save. It's so important every time that you click save. If you move on to something else before you save, you are going to lose what you have created here. And I'm going to close this out. Okay, we now have 2 assignments created for Unit 1. Let's work through assigning scores to the assignment. Click on any one of the learning targets. Oh, before I should go on, please notice that you can hover over each of the learning targets, and the language associated with the learning target populates there so that you can, you don't have to remember each of these by the number or the abbreviation. It is there written out for you if you hover over it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Math Kindergarten 1-1 here. You will see the assignments that we just created listed here. Click on the blue lettered abbreviation and name of the assignment you want to score. I want to score our Unit 1 pre-test, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This will take you to where we left off before when we created the assignment originally. To score the assignment, select Score here at the bottom of the screen. You will see that the learning targets to be scored for this assignment show across the top of the page. Here's Math Kindergarten 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4 across the top here. All those that I selected when I created my assignment. You can enter scores one by one, student by student, and by learning target if you wish. To do this, I would suggest that you go to the top right of the screen and turn on the rapid scoring button to off. Here's our rapid scoring button, and you can select it to off. When you turn this off, the system will show a scoring rubric for each student and each learning target. You would then go through and select the score you want for each student. Maybe this student has a 2, a 3, a 1, a 1, a 1. Okay, and here's target 1-2. Maybe this is a pre-test, so maybe these are all a 1. Maybe this one is, these were all 2s. So you'll notice there that what I did there is I entered my 3 and selected the fill option, which brought it all the way through to the end. Typically, when you're in this rapid scoring, it's not the ideal place to be using the fill options. I did want to show you on this last one that it will allow you to fill, and if you are more comfortable with going to this view and selecting a fill, you can go ahead and click the score at the top and hit fill, and it will score that for you. Or you can enter these one by one. Okay, so when you have all the scores entered, you're going to go ahead and save. Again, I cannot emphasize enough the need to click save. If you don't save, you're going to do all that work and it's not going to remember it. So I'm going to click save. Now I'm going to close out. I'm going to close again and again. You can now see the scores entered for the pre-test. Since these are the most recently entered scores, they now show on our main screen as the in progress score. Let's say that we did not want to select a score for every student and for every target, especially for something like the pretest where maybe most of our students are starting at a 1. We can use an autofill method to help expedite the process. We looked a little bit at the autofill, but I feel like there's a better option, so we're going to look at that now. I'm going to go into the assignment we created called Post-Test Unit 1 for this example. So I'm going to click on my standard, going into my Post-Test Unit 1, and I want to score. At the top right, slide the rapid scoring to on. When you do this, the screen will change to show a column for each target that shows the progress score, which will show the most recent score entered. In this example, the scores we just entered for the pretest. You can see here that in our progress columns, the scores we just entered for the pretest are listed. You will also see a score column. You can use the fill options to fill scores here either vertically or horizontally. Before you begin to fill scores, note that there is a drop-down box at the top left of the screen. This drop-down offers 3 choices: all, empty, and empty and present. It is very important that you use this drop-down to tell the system how you want the fill options to work. If you want all boxes to fill with the score you enter, you would set it to all. If you only want to fill in scores that are blank, you would select empty. The empty and present option means it will fill scores that are empty for students that are present. At this time, I really don't see the importance of that option, but I think as time goes on, it may become clear. So I want to fill scores for all students and targets, so I'm going to set the drop down to all. Especially for a pretest or a post-test, that might make a lot of sense. Maybe this is remember our post-test unit 1, and maybe we're on a roll and most of our students are at a 3. So to fill vertically, I put the score at the top where it says score, and I'm going to say that we're going to put in a 3, and then I'm going to hit the fill button. And I can go ahead and do this for, maybe I wanted to go ahead and do this for all of our learning targets. So I would go all the way across. And now we have an entered score of 3 for all. These are coming over from where even though these students they're red and so they're withdrawn. When I was entering scores for our pre-test, I was just kind of randomly entering scores, and I did them by hand, and so the system allowed me to put them in there. When you use the autofill, it's not, even though I'm here for all, it's not going to autofill for students that are not enrolled. And so to make this clean, I probably, if it were me, I would go back here and delete these scores for the pretest, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I do want to point out that there is an option here to add comments here on the right for any student. And there's also all these different types of flags that you can explore. We're not going to go into that in a lot of detail today. They're pretty intuitive, and you can utilize those as needed. Okay, so if I were to save now, all of our students would be scoring with a score of 3, but maybe I notice that my scores are more consistent by student. Maybe we didn't do as consistent as a class, and I don't want to just go in across and fill vertically as a 3. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out. and I'm set to fill for all, so it's allowing me to override these. If I change this drop down to empty, if I go here to a box and I fill and they're empty, they're going to fill. But once they're filled and I have this selected to empty, if I want to change that again and I hit fill, it is not going to fill these. If I want to override these and they already have a score in them, I have to change this to all before it will override it and fill. Okay, so, but I wanted to get rid of all of these, just, and these don't have a progress grade because when I did my pre-test, I didn't go all the way over for every learning target and enter a progress or a score for every learning target, and that's why there's no progress grade there. These I did enter a progress for the pretest, and that is why they do have a progress score. So, I want to show you now how to fill in a score horizontally. I enter a score in the score column for a student. Maybe for this student, I want to enter a score 3. I put a 3 in the score column and I click the arrow and it will populate all the way across. Maybe this student was a 2. This student was a 4. This student was a 3. So you can see that before you begin to use this autofill option, it really is a good idea to think to yourself, are most of my students just a 3 and there's just a couple kids, students that I want to change out? I would probably go in and fill them across all vertically and then change a couple students. If your class is just a big mix and you have some 2s, some 4s, some 3s, some 1s, I would not fill vertically and I would go ahead and fill these horizontally by student. It's just preference and whatever is working best for you at the time. So once I have all my scores entered, and maybe I'm going to fill the rest of these with 3s. My kids M through Z are all 3s, so I'm going to, if I leave this at all and I go up here and say to fill this with a 4, and this is set to all, and I fill, it's going to override everything that I did up here. And there's no back button. There's no Control Z, no back button or anything. So be careful about that. But say I did get through this many and I'm like, okay, the rest of the kids are a 3. I can change this to empty and then use my fill to continue filling the rest. I know I was kind of going back and forth, horizontal and vertical, but I will tell you that the system is happier if you pick one way or the other. If it's easier to go vertical and put them all in and save, do that. If it's easier to go horizontal by kid, do that and save. But if you try and mix it like I did, it can get confusing. As we get better at it, I would say go for it, but for now, it's probably easier if you pick one way or another. So now I have my post-test scored, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to close out and close and close. Okay, and you can see now that because I sequenced that post-test as my second test and posted in the same day, all my scores have now updated to what I have entered for my post-unit score. The small number here at the top right of the box indicates the number of scored assignments for this student in this learning target. So most of these now have a 2 because we entered 2 scores. Over here where I only entered the post, you can see there's only 1 score. Okay. The large number is the most recent score, and it's going to show as the progress score. If you want to change a score for a student, click on a score and then change the rubric. So remember, these were on the same day, and so if I want this in progress score to change, I can change this post test, and it is the one that I sequence second. So it is the one that I need to change, and then save. Whoops, close. Let's go to this first top. I'm going to change this to a 3, save, close, and you can see it changes the score to a 3. If you want to change scores for the assignment for multiple students, click on the learning target, go back to the assignment where you want to change the scores, go back to score. Here's all your scores, and you can change these out however you see fit. Okay. They're a little bit bold. It's a little hard to see, but you cannot change the progress grade here. You're going to be changing the score column, not that it won't allow you to change the progress. Once you've made all the changes that you want to change, click save. Again, I want to emphasize that if it comes time to post grades, what's going to post is what's shown here in the progress column. If you want to change it, you're going to have to go to your most recent assignment and change the scores for that most recent assignment, or enter a new assignment and call it something like final grade, final score, and give your students all their final score. Okay, so I saved here. I'm going to close. I'm going to close. A lot of closing. And those changes that I made there, because I saved them, are going to update here on my progress monitor. I do want to make everybody aware that we are looking into creating assignments and sharing them across teachers for grade levels. It does look like there may be some opportunity to do that. And so more information about that will be coming soon. And thank you for watching this video on creating assignments and posting grades in the Progress Monitor. If you have any questions, please contact Lisa Bliss.